call this meeting to order. We all stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We get a roll call of the members present, please.
Paparad? Mr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
I'm here.
Mr. Flaherty?
Here.
Ms. Graham?
Here.
Ms. Conover?
Present.
Mr. Whitten?
I am here.
7-0, you have the forum, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
What's your pleasure with the minutes, May 28, 2014, June 5, 2014, October 22nd, 2013? Motion for all three?
Yes.
Second concurs.
Yes.
Any corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. First reading, please.
The following appropriations and fund reductions come before you for consideration this evening. The Porter County General Fund, the Porter County Sheriff, $1,511.3005 overtime, $5,268.84. The Porter County Parks Department Community Foundation grant totaling $9,900. The Porter County Riverboat Fund, Fund 1191-0000-1241-25 longevity, $179,250. The Porter County reduction in general fund as follows: the Porter County Juvenile Probation, $20,729. Porter County Parks and Recreation uniforms and clothing, $300. The Porter County Parks and Recreation tires and tubes, $1,000. The Porter County Parks and Recreation small tools, $1,000. The Porter County Parks and Recreation telephone, $600. The Porter County Parks and Recreation advertising, $3,952.53. The Porter County Parks and Recreation Fund Power, $16,025.80. Porter County Parks and Recreation Water and Sewage, $4,000. The Porter County Parks and Recreation Other Equipment, $4,000. The Porter County Parks and Recreation Vehicle Repair, $1,793.17.
Thank you very much. Before we get into the agenda, I was contacted, I believe also was Councilman Biggs, by Tom Pappas. Tom would like to come and address the board and have us contemplate a resolution. And you have in front of you a resolution advocating hyperbaric oxygen therapy and other medical treatments and therapy for, come on up, Tom, traumatic brain injury. Tom? Go ahead.
All right, well, if I may.
Sure.
I asked for that resolution be considered. First, I'm a member of the Military Veterans Coalition of Indiana, and I have some material there just so you understand what the group is all about. And our big goal is to get past state legislation to help veterans. Back in January, I gave testimony in support of Senate Bill 180 that established a study committee to look at alternative therapies for some of the chronic issues with our veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. One of those is traumatic brain injuries, TBI, concussion. It happens, they find an IED the hard way, they get blown 50 feet, they wake up the next day, their brains are sprained. Well, because the Senate Bill 180 established a study committee, which is now formed and starting to take testimony. And all we're trying to do is influence that study committee to render a fair and honest appraisal of the different therapies that are out there, different than what the VA is doing. And I gave some material to Mr. Whitten and Mr. Biggs. Current VA therapy is drug therapy. They treat the symptoms, they don't treat the cure of veterans. I gave the article from Channel 13 in Indianapolis, highlighting some of what's happening to the veterans. One veteran is getting prescribed 15,000 pills a year. He was a vegetable for 23 hours out of the day. And they're doing that to a lot of veterans when there's options like hyperbaric oxygen treatment, which is proving very successful for treatment of TBI, less so for PTSD because PTSD is more mental than physical. But we're just advocating for the state and the study committee to look at all alternative therapies we just favor HBOT because there's no side effects, there's no drugs involved. HBOT is hyperbaric oxygen therapy. They throw you in this chamber, they give you pure oxygen for an hour and a half, and they take you out. And what it does is it opens up all the blood vessels that concussion has impacted, and it helps healing. And we have yet to find any evidence that there's any negative side effects from HBOT treatment. In fact, I gave you one letter, and that's just one of many throughout the country. It's turned a lot of veterans' lives around. There was a joint study between a military think tank, Oklahoma University, and Ball State University did a separate study, and if you average all their numbers they came up with, Indiana currently is getting impacted some $3 billion a year because the VA is not looking at the alternative treatments that's going to return these people, these veterans, to productive citizens. There's a side effect of this. It can be applied to professional, amateur athletics, anyone that gets a brain injury, someone that falls down a motorcycle and gets a concussion, any kind of concussion, concussive event can be treated with this hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So all we're asking, we're trying to push this study committee, just to do something for the veterans and give them an option.
I certainly, I've read through what you brought to the office, Tom, it was informative, and, you know,
I now send what I gave you two, I'll send all the council tonight.
That sounds good.
Okay?
What's your pleasure with the resolution? Motion? And a second. And the resolution is as follows. Resolution advocating hyperbaric oxygen therapy and other medical treatments and therapy for TBI. Whereas the signature wound of Iraq and Afghanistan is a TBI and a significant health issue for Indiana veterans returning from service in Iraq and Afghanistan. And whereas the effects of this condition are usually long-lasting and often life-threatening, frequently resulting in suicide. And currently there are no definitive medical treatments for TBI, and the treatments being provided today are only palliative drugs. And whereas several documents more curative therapies are available, including hyperbaric oxygen therapy, that offer additional alternative curative ways to restore affected patients' lives and minds. And whereas the numerous studies have demonstrated that the untreated lingering effects of these injuries adversely impact parents' lives, frequently resulting in destroying families, drug and alcohol abuse, and unemployment and mental illness. And whereas this type of injury is not veteran-specific, but includes other types of injuries caused by motor vehicle accidents, amateur, professional contact sports, and other situations where a head injury can result. And whereas these results show up in society and communities as increases unemployment rates, public health care treatment costs, alcohol, drug treatment costs, family breakups, and disruptive lives. And whereas neither the Veterans Association, Veterans Administration, Military Medicine, nor Medicare will reimburse medical practitioners for HBOT to help these patients. Now therefore be it resolved by the Porter County Council, urging that the government of the state of Indiana to provide appropriate funding and focus to provide results-oriented, evidence-based, proven treatment, including hyperbaric oxygen therapy for returning Indiana veterans and other patients that suffer the residual effects of TBI. We get a roll call, please.
I want to see if we can amend and just add "and the federal government" in there, that last paragraph where it says government of the state of Indiana, and just put "and the federal government."
I appreciate that.
Motion and second, concur with that amendment?
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Biggs?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Whitten?
Yes.
Mr. Paparad?
Yes.
Unanimous, 7-0 in the affirmative.
Thank you so much. Thank you for.
We'll do a little amendment, we'll sign off on it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for bringing it to us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Appreciate it.
Commissioners, 1000-1030-30 of transfer, $14,203.13 from 1230 PERB to 3430 work comp to cover work comp audit for Sheriff's Department. Well, Nancy, how are you? Come on. What's your pleasure with this, guys?
Motion approved.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Transfer is approved. C, funding assistance, 1112-2090-30, transfer $2,500 from furniture fixtures over 100 to 3630 equipment other than vehicles. Having several problems with the microwave repeater radio system for sheriff, EMS, EMA, and county highway. What is your pleasure?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
What kind of problems are they having with the radios?
They're losing, the connection down to the southern part of the county. So, there's ways to fix it, but of course it costs money.
It is a problem. Any other questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Federal State Prisoner Revenue, 1,000-1233-30, transfer $10,500 from 3220 telephone to 3510 power. 1,500 from 3610 maintenance agreements to 3510 power. Got to pay NIPSCO bills through the end of 2014. What's your pleasure?
Second.
We have a motion and a couple of seconds. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Sheriff, 1,000-1005-5, additional 5268.84 to 1130 overtime. Reason, HIDA, DEA, MFTF overtime reimbursements. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? Pretty self-explanatory. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Rivas.
Yes.
Mr. Polaric.
Yes.
Ms. Graham.
Yes.
Ms. Conover.
Yes.
Mr. Whitten.
Yes.
Mr. Paparad.
Yes.
Mr. Biggs.
Yes.
7-0 in the affirmative.
Okay, we've got a few job descriptions, 144. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
The job descriptions are just an update for the records. They have been updated since 1990. And it's software, and they kind of made it a little bit more, and you should have a copy of it. Just to get a little more up to date and to rename, two of the positions to the same. That's on those. And we have, the one person, logistics training coordinator is changed now. Nothing's changed in the money, nothing's changed in the people. It's changed now to a records division administrative assistant manager. So it's just a name change. The other one is two people. I discovered this error. I don't know how far back it went. I couldn't trace it back. The people and the money was right, but the titles were switched. So I don't know how that happened. Somebody working in records had a title for civil, somebody civil and title. So it's basically just switching our titles. No money difference.
Okay. And then that's the records division and the warrant division.
Yeah.
Okay. You have any questions? This seems like some of the paperwork's cleaned up.
No, but I would like to ask something. Can I make a motion to approve?
Okay. The job description of the 144, I assume?
Yes.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion to second. Okay.
The sheriff isn't here, but I just wanted to ask, coming up, we have some reductions of appropriations because of the cash crunch, and I know that we had started your year off with salaries for jailers that weren't hired until like April and May. Do you plan on having any reduction in your line item?
For this year, you want to try, for this year?
Yeah, because we gave you the salaries for the full year, and the slots weren't filled.
Yeah, I can do that. I can calculate what we have, if it is less, how many paychecks we have left, and we can calculate if I can keep a little buffer in case, because right now, we have a lot of people on sick leave, we have people, we've lost people because they're going to state police, they're going to patrol, and by the end of this gets done, we'll have these people down again. And we're gonna have to hire 8 more people. We have a lot of new people, the new people that are still not able to go on the floor by themselves, they're being frail, so they're not really, I mean, they're 5, but not.
Very free.
Right, so we what I have left, what I have to make sure. And I also will have some more money because we do have the positions higher because of the way we move around. So there will be money in that, and I can do that.
Well, we're counting pennies and dollars now, and if you can, then it's not interrupting.
No, it won't, it won't be. I just know that we're gonna, this next pay period is gonna be huge on overtime in the jail because of the situation they have. And I'm probably gonna have to come soon to transfer some money out of unused salaries in order to get us through the year. And so now we have to hire more people now for the functional for, I don't know, how many months we're gonna lose all that money too. And with people down sick and flying, leaving, it's just been really difficult. So next paper, we're gonna get a little bit of I can do that. I'm sure they'll be a pretty good sum because like you said, we didn't hire them till, and they were all at first class other than the 90 months. And that's not a problem. It's just a matter of seeing how much I need to spend.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Polari?
Yes.
Ms. Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Whitten?
Yes.
Mr. Paparad?
Yes.
Mr. Biggs?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes.
7-0 in the affirmative.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
MVH transfers, move on all of them. Ours winner, what more can you say? Oh, we have a motion and a second on the transfers in front of us, all of it stemming from these terrible things that happened in the winter, snow, motions. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Transfers approved.
Hey, Al, since you're here, I got an email came through the council office about, is it 450 East? Where they're putting that new NIPSCO substation in, out in Morgan Township.
Right,
He was complaining about the road.
that road is scheduled to be repaid, we've got commitments from NIPSCO for financial aid when we get ready to do it, and we're not gonna build it until they're done wiring the transfer.
Okay, thank you.
We've got it ready.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you reply to that, please? Thank you.
Juvenile probation, we have a 144 and a reduction. Probation officer from 51,568 to 30,839. Reduction of appropriation, 20,729 from salaries. Position was recently vacated. The position will be filled with a lower paid entry-level employee retroactive to June 16, 2014. Couple of motions and a second. Any discussion?
Thank you. You could have hired on the high end. Thank you.
We always try to bring somebody forward.
Next one. Roll call, please.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Whitten?
Yes.
Mr. Paparad?
Yes.
Mr. Biggs?
Yep.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes.
Mr. Polari?
Yes.
7-0 in the affirmative.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Parks Department, Porter County Community Foundation, it's a grant, additional $84.40 to $39.50 contractual, $14.60 to $22.50 other supplies, curriculum design and development supplies and materials. It's your pleasure. We have a motion. And there's a second. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Whitten?
Yes.
Mr. Paparad? Mr. Biggs? Mr. Rivas?
Yes.
Mr. Polari?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
7-0 in the affirmative.
Parks Department, 1,000-1085-85, transfer 4465 from 3510 power to 3420 building and liability insurance, 134435 from 3510 power to work comp, shortage in insurance and work comp. What's your pleasure?
Motion on the transfer.
The motion on the transfers, is there a second? And a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, reduction of appropriation, there's a list of them. What's your pleasure? Motion in a couple of seconds, discussion. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Whitten?
Yes.
Mr. Paparad? Mr. Biggs? Mr. Rivas?
Yes.
Mr. Polari?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
7-0 in the affirmative.
Thank you and your board.
Riverboat Fund, drawing up 1191-0000-25, additional $179,250 to 1241 longevity. First payout longevity, let's talk about this one, what's in there right now?
I can't
pay out, or should the commissioners may have to?
Correct. Keep in mind, last year, the same situation happened. The first round of longevity we paid out to people.
Let me just say this, that this fund, you know, we all know that this fund's been getting lower and lower. We pay $250,000 to, basically, I think, reimburse some cities and towns for the, drug task force and the prosecutor's office. Don't get me started. But we don't have enough money in this fund to do those two things. We don't. We're running in a negative, so we're gonna have to, that was one of the things I was gonna discuss with the prosecutor, but I think Jim's gonna go talk to his other liaison, for a whole host of reasons. From that'd be nice. So we're gonna have to discuss how we wanna do this, because there's just not enough money in that fund anymore. It used to be 600,000, now it's much less. Much less. I mean, we used to have money to do longevity and that, and it wasn't an issue, so,
Right now, that fund's in the negative.
it's in the negative, it's negative
I won't
11,000.
see any money for 2 months.
We don't get our draws on that until like August.
All right, so how can we approve anything for right now, it's in negative, pending the distribution, maybe? Is it? I mean, I'd be fine with that, if the motion is to approve pending receipt of distribution from the state.
Jim, if I may, the fund opened with a balance of about $23,000 for the undercover expenses happened being paid, and that's why we have that.
Okay, but we don't have money right now to pay $179,000, right?
We don't have money right now for the drug task force to get drawn.
I'm gonna make the motion to approve pending receipt from the state and the fund.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. So your motion is to pay out in August when we get whenever we get our distribution. And what are we at now, right now? We're at negative,
About $111,000.
all right, so we're at negative 111,000. We're gonna get this, yeah, we're gonna be, so how much left of the prosecutor's, job? Do we know?
$115,000 has been appropriated and not yet spent out of the $250,000. And again, this was as of yesterday, so I can't go on. We had $250,000 appropriated for the undercover. So far, the expenses have been $135,000.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion?
My question is, I mean, does it, at any time this year, does it come down to either the undercover drug unit or longevity?
Yes.
The
One distribution.
We started the year, in looking at this fund now, we started the year with either the second longevity distribution or the allocation, the reimbursement of cities and towns for the drug test. We started the year with that, apparently.
So some of this money doesn't necessarily go to the county drug unit, but goes to city.
Well, I think we're gonna, go ahead.
Can I speak to
Yes.
that? And I believe Bob was on the council too. The problem the unit was having was they couldn't, communities in their sheriff's department too, couldn't afford to lose an officer full-time to the narcotics unit. So indeed, in order to have full-time bodies in the unit, we were reimbursing the communities, including our own sheriff, to have the manpower for the office, and indeed, they weren't missing anything.
So it's-
The departments weren't missing anything.
So it's a reimbursement to have officers.
To the communities, including our sheriff's department.
Okay, so what I'm trying to make clear before we vote is this a case of voting to fund longevity and therefore emptying that balance where the drug unit couldn't be?
Not yet. Not yet. The second draw of longevity is gonna be that.
The second longevity would be the negative.
So,
So the commissioners want longevity paid out in the fall,
commissioners in front of us to find out where we going in the very immediate future with this.
Well, I mean, my suggestion is going to be to the commissioners, there's a second draw of longevity, that needs to be, that we need to pay for the end of the year. Which one of your seed funds would you like to pay it from? Because we don't have any left in this fund. That's it. So, and then when we talk about the task force and, the prosecutor, and what she might want to do with the drug task force, we can talk about that later. All right. Let's get her in front of this next. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, let's have a roll call on this.
Mr. Paparad?
Yes.
Mr. Biggs?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Whitten?
Yes.
7-0 in the affirmative.
Thank you very much. Second reading.
The following appropriations and appropriation reductions came before you for consideration and are approved by you. Porter County General Fund, $5,268.84. The Porter County Parks Department Community Foundation grant, $9,900. The Porter County Riverboat Fund, $179,250. And the Porter County General Fund, a reduction of totaling $50,400.50.
What's the pleasure of second reading? Motion second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biggs?
Yes.
Mr. Rivas?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Ms. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Whitten?
Yes.
Mr. Paparad? 7-0 in the affirmative on second reading.
Thank you very much, sir. Attorney's report.
Mr. President, you were asked to, you want me to remind you of the special meeting in July?
Yeah, I think that we want to address, I've been asked, as you all know, to hear a presentation that's been given about high-speed rail, and we're trying to get that into a meeting. We could do it, although Karen suggested that we just have it at our next regular meeting, which might be, what do you think, Scott, is that wrong with that?
Well, I think there's a problem with it, I just think that, well, is it possible we can have one in, it's obviously up to you. I think there's, we at least have the high-speed train issue.
Well, there's people traveling from, I think, Fort Wayne to come to our meeting and just be able to speak for 10 minutes is enough time.
Well, that's why we,
Yeah.
tonight, we didn't want.
Yes, so maybe-
Instead of, tonight we don't know how long our meeting is, but we didn't want to constrict our time, so one of the things that we told them was that we would be happy to do this special meeting, and then if we did so, they would have more like a half hour, more.
I'm okay either way. You want to have it at a regular, I mean, July is a rough month, but I mean,
I will not be here. For our regular meeting.
do you want to hear the high-speed rail?
Not really, I mean, they've got money to give to a high-speed rail study, we'll have to give it to E911, don't have a shortfall there.
So they'll probably be very upset to hear that you won't be here. Regular meeting then, or is it a regular meeting? Tell me you have a half hour and we'll have that. That'll be interesting. Is there a problem with that, Scott, do you think, or you seem very disconcerted by that news?
Well, I don't think high-speed train was the only thing expected, especially.
Well, you know what?
We can time together.
We'll time together. All right.
Take a train in the forties.
Which-
There'll be a Ford option.
I'll say about this is, and we're all kidding aside, well, the business, this board just dealt with, this is not a good time, and all the municipalities need to understand this, this is not a good time coming up to us and asking for money.
Yes, unless they're asking where we want to deposit the money.
And I already said that, 911.
Okay. Anything else, Scott?
No.
And then, all right, any other matter this time before the council before we get to our special meeting? With that, we'll stand adjourned then, and let's move right into our special meeting unless you want to take a break.
2-minute break.
Let's take a 2-minute break.
Point of order, we make another roll call, correct, for attendance?
Just in case somebody tries to slip out. We'll be back in 5 minutes. I think the idea, when they enacted
Oh, I agree.
No, we don't.
I agree.
Well, and it's.
That's what
This side.
doesn't have many persons, right? I think you could have two. That's one thing. The key is, bring one way, two the other way, who are, or do we bring a couple up, take this opportunity to rework? Or 4 years.
We got a couple of
He had come to the meeting, he's been hiking like 5 miles a day, almost every day, from 40 on that. So he's ready.
Now you gotta do that about 5,000 feet to the
Between 9 and 11,000. Right.
We missed him at summer camp this year.
Summer school, just take him out and I'm
I'd rather bet summer camp. He's in the rain.
I know, but with his academic schedule, he's got to get help. We're doing that with study hall, not
Let's call our special meeting to order here. Roll call, please.
Mr. Rivas. No, Mr. Mix, I'm sorry.
Here.
Mr. Rivas.
Here.
Mr. Blair.
Here.
Ms. Graham.
Here.
Ms. Conlon. Mr. Witt.
I'm here.
Mr. Baca. Yep. 7-0, big quorum.
All right, well, that's fantastic. We only have one thing on the agenda, so let's be quick. I think, we've had a lot of discussion about the hospital and what our role has been with respect to compliance issues. As you know, just a history lesson here, there's been some dispute and negotiations apparently with respect to the assessed value evaluation of the hospital. You know that we've had many discussions about, at least what I view, and you all have your own opinions on this, but brings the hospital in compliance. Karen and I sent out the president and vice president a letter indicating that from the perspective of their valuation argument, $39 million, in my humble opinion, or in our opinion, did not bring them into compliance since the tax abatement agreement called for a $130 million valuation. So they, $39 million didn't even get them the first base, as they say. But I believe there's been some development in that area. I think that there's been a lot of movement. And so at this point, Scott, do you want to start off, or do you want to have John address it first?
I think just briefly, I think you said, being here, we're obviously determined. This is a special meeting scheduled to further dive into this hearing and determine whether or not we believe the hospital is waiver of non-compliance, for failure to file the Form 322 RE be waived also. But I think, as we all said the last meeting, that begins with the assessment, and so I think Mr. Snyder can fill us in and do one of those.
And I believe, Mr. Snyder's here with, possibly his attorney. Everybody's got an attorney. I love getting your work done. But I think there's been a lot of work, with you guys on this, and I think, you've brought it a long way. That's fantastic. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where we're at now and how you view, the situation?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thankful to every member of this board. Thankful to my attorney, Mr. Christopher Buckley, and also the hospital, Mr. Tom Atherton, who's here as well, for the proposed agreement that's sitting in front of you today. When I first approached the hospital in 2011, my goal at that point was to achieve an assessed value of somewhere in the neighborhood of $130 million, which is much different than what was prescribed by the state's model, which gave this county a value of around $34 million. I didn't, at that time, have a clue that it would take nearly 2 years to get where we are today, but I am pleased to report, per the spreadsheet that's in front of you, that we have reached that point. The spreadsheet in front of you, if you just take a minute to look at it, we've taken the proposed agreement with the hospital assessed value starting in year 2012 at $117 million, when it was 90% complete, and we would settle at $130 million through year 2014. Then we would appreciate the structure on a economic life schedule, also prescribed by the state of Indiana, and it's also found in Marshall's List cost handbook, so it's a scientific appreciation. One thing that I wanted to grab your attention on, that's why it's mentioned both, would be the adding up the hospital assessed value for their real estate as well as the personal property, which has been reported already for years 13 and 14. And you add those two numbers together, what we know for sure is you have an assessed value of approximately $150 million, then $160 million in the second year, and then we had to make our best guess for the remaining 8 years. But you can see it's well above the $130 million that was committed in the abatement. So this difficult decision rests squarely on my shoulders, and I'm at peace with the decision that I have made here. I would ask that this board find the hospital in compliance and put this issue in our rearview mirror. Happy to entertain questions. Maybe.
Well, no, and I'd just like to say, John, I know you had a lot of work, and there was a lot of elbow grease that went into this. I know that your attorney was quite involved, and I know that I had our attorney, working closely with you guys, trying to keep us informed, and as things moved along, and it seems like coming up from 39 million to 130 million is a pretty good run. So, well done.
There was a lot of give and take on both sides, and I thank all of you so much to sit here, and hopefully we do put this in our rearview mirror. And it's not only our job to grant favors, it's our job to take them away if one is not in compliance. And I'm very comfortable today, it's great news that you are in compliance. You're a wonderful corporate neighbor. We're glad to have you, and we are so excited about the health care that you offer our residents, and that
what happens in year 15, 16, 17, and so on. It's $130 million. So it's in compliance.
Well, I think that the compliance, and I'll let Scott address this, was that they were gonna construct a facility with a valuation at the time of completion of $130 million. I think that, depreciation of commercial property is quite, common, actually. The schedule that they used to depreciate can be a little more aggressive than this, actually, this isn't too bad. So, the question isn't, are they gonna be a $130 million structure forever? The question was the time of the abatement, and I know we can talk about the pros and cons of abatement, so we're blue in the face of that train has left the station. At the time of the debate, of the tax abatement discussions and meetings, the question was whether they're gonna build a structure of $130 million, and what will that do to, over the period of the tax abatement and then thereafter, to the tax base of the Porter County residents. But above and beyond that, or at least additional to that, is what kind of development they're gonna bring around the hospital, and we're hoping great things. And, if, of course, we have to hope that commissioners don't give it too much. So, we have to try to, make sure that doesn't happen, but it's a long-term investment. I think the question is, what happens at construction completion? Is that right, Scott?
I would agree. I will also say that substantial compliance overall does not mean equal to or greater than the only way you can comply. Substantial compliance is often by the term, obviously, legal term of art. Substantial compliance can also mean bless you, coach. It can also mean and the issue obviously becomes the farther the numbers get apart, it becomes more gray. There is no set answer, but the substantial compliance in this conversation is not necessarily, does not mean equal to or greater than compliance.
Any other questions? Or Jim, do you have any questions?
No, that answered that question.
Any other questions?
I'm very happy that it's, settlement committee, all parties involved. As Karen said, hospital is a great add to our county, and we're very happy. It provides a lot of jobs, high-paying jobs, and, very thankful.
One at a time. Bob?
And the appeal,
This pulls, or relieves us of the long unpleasantness of litigation. If I may put it Mr. Bucket. Yes. Jerry?
Medical office building, this does, obviously, this does not include that.
It's my understanding that it does not include the medical office.
It does not. And I guess to revisit some of the issues that we had when we started down this road in late early spring, one of the issues was what was included in the hospital maintenance. It's clear that medical operation building is not part of this maintenance. This maintenance is specifically to the hospital, the Porter Hospital LLC itself, the hospital building and its real property. The medical operation building will have its own tax assessment. It's not under abatement. I think that's one thing that we made clear. The other issue was when did this abatement, the question we had was when did this abatement start? This abatement started in 2012. Part of tonight's request, the council will be asked to waive the non-compliance with the funding of the REs to allow this abatement to start when it should have in 2012. So that's one of the requests going along with finding the substantial compliance moving forward. As part of that, we are able to then answer these questions that we had when the abatement started, what was included in the abatement. Also brings to resolution the ongoing disagreements and appeals that are pending currently on the hospital assessment evaluation. And brings that as part of the agreement the assessor and the hospital have entered into contingent upon your approval, which those issues I outlined earlier.
how do we approach this, Scott? What's procedure?
We would need a motion to waive the non-compliance of the hospital failure to file the 322 RE and SB 1 for 2012, 2013, and for 2012 pay 2013 and 2013 pay 2014, and to find them in substantial compliance for those 2 years, and a separate motion to find them in substantial compliance for 2014 pay 2014.
If I can continue on, question that, with that billing not being part of the payment, with the agreement that was to hire also an additional amount of people, employees, those employees in that outbuilding are not included in that number.
So the employees that are listed in your number do collect paychecks from the Board of Health System members or agencies.
Was that the end of that question?
Yeah, but I just wanted to mention something.
Add to that.
Add to that, since my wife is an employee of Porter Hospital and Ms. Harmon is like the second notch up on her answer to ladder, I'm gonna have to abstain from this vote, unlike some other elected officials in Porter County that have no problem getting lucrative contracts out to the employees and spouses. That's the explanation I like.
Well, it works, my wife does not work for the county. Yeah.
I failed to mention that part of the agreement as well is that the hospital has agreed to pay for part of the appraisal cost, but $20,000 to help with those, defray the cost of the appraisal as well. So that would actually be a second payment of $20,000, $40,000. So that's a big help to the assessor's budget and the county as well.
Okay, were there any other questions at this point?
And then, I have to go back to the appeals. Are they not going to appeal the remainder of the debate? Everybody agrees to these numbers?
For a period of 10 years, they're going to withdraw.
And everybody agrees to
10 years, yes, and you waive their right to appeal future matters. So long as they're in accordance with health and safety. Okay, so we would need a motion, if this board is so inclined, to waive the non-compliance with years 2012, 2013, not valuation non-compliance, but non-compliance in filing the proper forms to trigger the tax abatement. Is that correct, Scott?
Correct.
Is there a motion somewhere on this
This
line?
councilman is so inclined to make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? I'll second for discussion. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's have a roll call, Mr. Arthur.
Mr. Blair. Ms. Graham.
Yes.
Ms. Conover.
Yes.
Mr. Whitten.
Yes.
Mr. Paparad. Yes. Mr. Biggs.
No.
Mr. Rivas.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative, and 1 abstention.
Okay.
Motion passes.
All right, and then our second motion would be to find the hospital in substantial compliance for tax year 2014. Is that correct, Mr.?
Correct.
Do I have a motion? Second for discussion. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Graham.
Yes.
Ms. Conover.
Yes.
Mr. Whitten.
Yes.
Mr. Paparad.
Yes.
Mr. Biggs.
No.
Mr. Rivas.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, and 1 abstention.
Yeah, I abstain on this one too.
You didn't call me.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Blair.
I abstain.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Do we have any other business to handle on this, Mr. Clerk? Okay. No further business? So all in favor, please stand adjourned.